Welcome to the Mercy Music Podcast. My name is Kevin Farrell. It is my pleasure and honor to get to interview a dear friend, a brilliant sound recording engineer, composer, songwriter, top 1% mastering engineer. Come on.
It was 2%.
2%?
Yeah,
Two? Okay. Top 2%. Pardon
Yeah,
me.
I think so.
Let's get the stats correct.
It might have been. I don't remember now, actually. I don't remember.
It was definitely like less than 3.
It was less
and it was an integer.
Yeah.
My dear friend, Professor Sam Stauff. Give it up.
Rob and Aaron can put all the applause,
Yeah,
fire and applause. Yeah, we'll add all that in post. Kevin, I'm so happy you're here with me.
We're gonna get to the bottom of it today. We're gonna learn where all of this comes from. You're a multi-hyphenate. You are someone who it's probably going to take 10 or 15 podcasts to really fully understand, but hopefully we can get the tip of the iceberg today. I want to know, can you take us all the way back?
Yeah.
Where I know you're from Connecticut.
Mostly.
You have some music in your family, in your extended family.
Yeah.
Where were the first moments where you became aware of your own kind of pull to this thing we do?
Yeah. That's a great question. Music. Yeah, I don't know. I think the earliest musical memory is probably just like sitting on my grandmother's lap while she's like playing piano. She was an organist. My dad's parents met at Hart Music School, actually, like in college. I think that's how they met. My grandfather played trumpet. He played a lot of different things, but he played trumpet. They were never like professionals, but they played. Music was always like around in the house, you know. And I have an uncle that does some music, and my sisters kind of. Everyone like played it in school, like bells and like clarinet. My mom played clarinet, but it wasn't like certainly wasn't professional. Even my brother played a little bit of instruments like through school. But I found a guitar. I found a guitar in the attic, and I think that was like middle school. Found a guitar, acoustic guitar, and then I signed up for like marching band, snare drum. For like,
Whoa.
Yeah. That was like my first musical lesson was on snare drum. It was like play the drumsticks on a quarter. It was because if you can't play outside the quarter, you can't play the whole drum. It was like a weird lesson. I just remember that very vividly about this weird. And you're a drummer, right? I love drums. I actually did play drums a little bit in bands, but I'm not a drummer. And I remember in middle school, I was like, I can't be in the back of the stage. My ego can't take being that far back, so I gotta play guitar. Clearly, I gotta play guitar because that's further up stage.
I love that.
So drums were gone, and it was all guitar from then on.
So what year was this? When in your
This was like middle school. This was kind of all middle school. All happening in middle school. I wouldn't say there was much music going on. There was music like in the house and everything, but I think that was when it was. I wouldn't even say serious, but it was like, oh, I'll be in the basement like playing, like just strumming guitar, and like I even had some cassettes that would, I'd be like recording into the cassettes. I actually have some of these cassettes in my office, and it's rough. But some of my friends and I would just be in the basement just like making noises and just like recording, like bouncing to cassettes and stuff. And I didn't even, just that was that. So that's like middle school. So how old is that? That's like, I don't even know. I'm horrible with ages.
Wow.
11, 12, something like that maybe.
You were already producing.
Yeah, we were producing. No, not at all. No.
What are these? So what are these? What's on these tapes? Like compositions? You
no, just open jams, free jazz, open jams. Really didn't even know how to play any chords or anything. Just plucking strings, and I remember being like, yeah, like this is good. And then I guess it got serious. So we were like, we had a band. Like we had a band in middle school.
What's the name of your band?
Rigged Horse, but it's spelled Rigid Horse. But I am a horrible speller, so it's pronounced Rigged Horse, but it was spelled Rigid Horse. And we didn't ever play a show, I don't think. But then we moved. We were in Waterbury, Connecticut. Actually, I lived in Saudi Arabia for like my first couple of years. I don't remember any music there because we were so young. But then we were in Connecticut and Waterbury, Connecticut. I think did I have a guitar yet? So I had my dad's acoustic. I just like found this acoustic. I don't. At some point, I bought like the Squire pack. Where they came with the amp and the cable and the tuner and everything. So, and spoiler alert, I'm really into like pedals now. But I remember at the time like plugging it into the amp and be like, yeah, why would I use those? I don't need those pedals. Like this is great. Like this is great. And then we moved to Bethlehem, Connecticut, which is like in the woods. And I was really into skateboarding at the time. So I was like skateboarding all around Waterbury, Connecticut, which is there's like a lot of places to skate. And then you move to like the country and there's nowhere to skate anymore. As much as we would buy plywood and try to make ramps and stuff. So music kind of became more of a thing then. And then I was in real bands like in high school. Like that was the formative making band. So I was in a band called The Morning After, which was sick. We played the town fair.
Love it.
We played the local town fair. We played actually that band was through high school. We played the Battle of the Bands in high school. We lost junior year. We won senior year. Crazy. But that band in like 3 or 4 years played like 300 shows. We played like tons and tons of shows. We just played all around Connecticut, up in Massachusetts, a little bit of New York. Like our friend's dad would like drive us to shows in his van. His dad was a musician too. So I see him like once a year and I still thank him. I'm like, thank you for letting us. We would practice in his living room and his family's living room and his mom. Every day after school, like 3 or 4 days a week, we would play every day after school. The loudest emo band you've ever heard. I just play guitar in that band and it was so loud. And I thank them like every year when I see them. Because as you know, as Rob knows, like that's some noises happening. That's some,
Yeah.
So, but it was so formative because we would practice almost every day after school and then play like 2 or 3 shows a weekend. Like it's like gradually would end up being that. And even like the guitarist, we would call it strumming practice. Like if no one else would show up, we would just like play guitar and make sure like all of our like strokes and palm mutes and everything it was like serious like training, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was like the boot camp for guitar. Not that I'm like an amazing guitarist, but it was how I got decent. And it's got how I could like play in time with things. And we would mess with like 4-track recorders and bounce things to each and like record in that space. Yeah. So that was like all through high school, that band. I also took a music tech class in high school. We had a music tech class, which was awesome. And I was in choir in high school too.
Whoa.
So that's the high school. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's like
There's a lot there. Yeah,
so
I don't
much
know.
there. I had a similar experience of like having the crew. We played every single day.
and I have so much love and affection for these people. Some of them work in the industry a little bit, but most of them are good friends. We try to keep in touch a little bit, but some of them are teachers or chefs and do all kinds of things. I remember thinking that was like the morning after. That's the only band I'd ever be in. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Did you have that thought when you were? This is the first band. We're gonna be Pink Floyd, and this
right.
We'll
just have to worry because this is it.
We recorded 2 songs ever. Oh, we knew. Yeah, recording was so expensive, right? Which now it's like so cheap, really, when you think about it. But it was so expensive that we knew like we had to be able to play our parts in like one take. It was like it wasn't even a question. It was like you go in, you play your part, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like you didn't. Multiple takes wasn't like a thing. We didn't even know about like punches or anything. It was like, yeah, the band plays the song. Maybe vocals are overdubbed. You know what I mean? It's like
Exactly
that was the high school like emo band, The Morning After, and then early college. We'll talk about college, I guess, in a second. But early college, that band kind of broke up, and we formed a band called My Holy Ghost, which was this sick like math rock band, awesome band. We were only a band for like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and we did record like a proper EP at the Gradwell House in New Jersey. It's a dope studio. It's actually still there. They've moved studios, but and that was an example too. We went in, no click track. We went in and like first take, we got it, and the engineer was like, "What are we gonna do?" Because we booked out like 2 or 3 days. And he was like, "What are we gonna do for all this time?" Because you guys just like were you guys got it. You know what I mean? Like
Finished.
we literally like we were so tight as a band and so rehearsed. I played bass in that band. We couldn't find a bass player, so the guitarist, the rhythm guitarist, played bass rhythm. So that was a dope, really awesome band that I still have very fond memories of. And we would do like ambient jams too. There was vocals in that band, but we would do like ambient jams, and that was kind of the start of all that world ambient jams, you know. But yeah, I don't know what else.
Well, I'm thinking about just listening to everything you're saying. I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
And, I want to just clarify, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like recording was always part of the process. Like that, maybe was that a compositional decision or was that just part of a documenting
Well,
or
those
something you did with your
bands
friends?
actually,
Like home recording. Before you went to the studio, it sounds like you
a
always...
little bit, yeah. A little bit, but we didn't have like we had like one microphone, right? So we were recording on these little 4-tracks, and we thought we were geniuses because we figured out like we could get more tracks if we bounced this 4-track to another 4-track. Yep. We thought we were geniuses, and realized like, oh, that's what the Beatles did. Like, great, good for you. But we were actually doing that for like weird soundscapes to like play. We would bring the 4-track live and play interludes between songs, and we would like sample the TV, and we would sample like drum machines. So the recording on those was less to capture the band and more to like have these like soundscapes. We thought we were like at the drive-in or like Monine or like I'm trying to think of like early indie bands. We thought we were. I mean, even before that, we just wanted to be Blink-182. And so the home recording was less about capturing like everything because we didn't know how. We didn't even really. Yeah, we knew we couldn't do it justice. I think we knew that was just like we couldn't even like phones didn't record
right
back then. Like we didn't have a laptop. You know what I mean? So it was like we didn't really. We knew there was recording studios. So I wouldn't say home recording was a part of my youth, honestly. Until college, till I got like a laptop with Reason. PC laptop, and then it became like, oh yeah, like I can do this every day,
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't until college where I started to do home recording, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So the studio, these 4-tracks, these were tape, cassette, or like digital?
We had a cassette one, and then I had a Zoom. I had a digital Zoom one with the SD card. You had to get the SD card reader for your computer to like read it. It was awesome. Yes. I do remember. Okay, so no, you know what? No, home recording was part of my high school because I remember burning CDs and then doing Sharpies and then handing them out at school, handing out the mixtape at school. That's wild. So yeah, I guess you know what? I guess there was some home recording stuff going on, and I would sing and play guitar. And this was even before those bands, I'm realizing. And it was awful, and I was told it was awful, and that's probably why I didn't sing in many of my early bands. I just like I wasn't the singer. And it probably affected the fact that I like wasn't a singer in a band for like a decade, honestly, because I wasn't like comfortable doing that. But I also loved instrumental music, and we can dive down that rabbit hole in a second. But yeah, so did the high school thing. Was told to kind of like I was just going to go on tour. I was just going to tour with my bands. That's a life choice, right? You can do that. And my parents probably had the foresight to be like, maybe you should go to school, which was a pretty good idea. But I just wanted to do music. And so I think my dad found Mercy actually, was like, hey, they do like recording. Is that of any interest? And I was just like, yeah, I guess. Okay, sure. And went to visit Mercy, and we were in White Plains at the time. They had opened in 97. This was 2005 or probably 2004 when I visited. And I walked in, and there was somebody like rewiring. His name was Greg Rippin. He was the original studio manager. He was like rewiring something, and he showed me around. I met Paul Steinman, the director, and they were like, "Yeah, you should come here." And I was like, "Oh, all right, that sounds good. Like, we'll do that." Wow. It wasn't that far. It was like an hour and a half from me. So I did dorm here, and was just like, "Yeah, I'll do this." I'll just do some music. We're still very focused on being in the band. Like we're gonna tour, we're gonna do that, but I'll do this college thing just to kind of do something. I got to do something,
right? Interestingly, though, you had already recorded in studios
but like
several times. By the
no,
time you
I
got
wouldn't
here.
say several. I would say under 5 times. Like we,
Okay.
yeah, like under. So I was very green. I didn't. Yes, I'd been in like a recording studio maybe 3 times. Like a real quote unquote recording studio, which in retrospect was really just a basement with some like a Yamaha digital recorder thing. I didn't touch Pro Tools till here as like a sophomore.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
So you get here.
yeah.
You have all this music concept. You're an artist, which you still are.
I'm in bands. Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course. I
yeah,
mean, you're in several bands,
yeah,
leading bands,
yeah, yeah.
tremendous songwriter.
Thank you.
Like this release schedule that I still feel
There's a
is
lot. Yeah.
superhuman. But at a certain point, you started to kind of incorporate the recording piece
Yes.
as almost as being of service to others.
Oh,
Like really
100%.
like
Yeah.
so how did I guess when you came to Mercy, when did that start to it started to expand?
Sure. Yeah, I think I have this conversation with a lot of bands and artists that I work with. Like, I came into this to make music, to make my own music. I did fall in love with recording. I fell in love with just kind of the process, the art of it. And at a certain point, I was making my own music, and that's why I think every engineer should make, even if it's just bleeps and bloops or noises, whatever. I think every engineer should make their own music because it's much different being on that side of the glass versus in here. But eventually, I wouldn't say I even got good, but you get good enough where you're like, oh, I liked that song of yours that you just played me, so can you help me with my song?
Mhm.
And I had this thing where I said yes to everything for like honestly like 15 years. I would any style of music, yes. The answer was yes, and that's why I've done some like hilariously weird records, and the answer was always like yes, let's do it. I didn't even really care about money for like way too long. You know what I mean? Um, and eventually, I was just like, I kind of knew that collaboration was key, and so I would do like records in languages I didn't even know. I don't speak Spanish, and I would do like Latin records, or I've done a lot of gospel records just because I said yeah. I used to hang flyers at White Plains, Sam Ash, and like recording. I'll do recording, and that's how I met like some amazing people even too. So I think at a certain point, I just knew like let's just get in a room and start making this happen. While still, like I've always been in bands. I've always been in my own bands, but um, I think I don't know if I realized money was a part of it even, but I don't know. I think I knew just like you got to record. I think I knew it was about your credits and just recording and just get people in a room. So I've recorded, thousands of rappers and
Yeah.
and sound. I've done tons of ambient music and all the. I grew up playing in like the New Haven music scene, so like a bunch of bands there. Like also, when you're in music school, you have access to a studio. People will friend you to just have that access to a studio, whether that's good or bad. I think it's good, and so I would always be bringing friends' bands in to record, and sometimes it would go really well, and other times it would go terrible. So at a certain point, I just when people ask, I said yes. I just
Mhm.
say like yeah, let's record, and so before I even left college, I had already been recording like everybody, like all my friends and my bands, and even like, I'd started working with some people that whatever, just collaborations and that people might even know. So it just became like, yeah, I'm a recording engineer. I guess people ask you that, and you say yes. Like I said, we didn't even touch Pro Tools till our second year as a student here. Steve Ward was my teacher first year, and um, was Sarah that was then my teacher, come like I guess sophomore, junior year ish, maybe junior year. And I think when I met with Steve Sarah, he's like not so secretly one of my mentors.
Same. Same.
Yeah, he's I mean like every teacher here was a mentor. I mean Steve, and we had actually there was totally different teachers at that point. Paul Steinman, Steve Ward, um, and Steve Sarah. And I knew he worked with like cool rock bands, and I kind of just knew right away. I was like, oh, I want to just like I didn't know he would like change my life and give me this career path, but I think even as a junior in college, I was just like, oh, he's doing the thing. Let me just listen to what he has to say and like respect him and befriend him and try to be like best friends with this guy. And then, I mean, secretly, I was like, yeah, I want to work for who you're working with. Like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Um, but I was just like, let me just show up to class and not mess up. And so I think through him and through a lot of other teachers, it was just about like taking responsibility and and working with classmates and just making records. And I would go home every weekend still to play shows
Oh,
in
okay.
Connecticut. So I would stay here Monday through Thursdays, and then I would go and play shows on weekends, like with my band in Connecticut. So that was still like My Holy Ghost, and then West Meets West came out of that. And we can go into all that. But so yeah, just like go make records during the week, go home. Also was like a student worker, for the school, and
Mhm.
was working. And I would work over summers doing jobs. Yeah. So, and then before I graduated college, I was hired as a part-time like studio monitor here. So it was kind of weird. Like I think it was junior year or maybe senior year, I was hired to um be a part-time like studio monitor, which was interesting to like already work for the school. Um, I was a student worker, so I've been working in the studios as a student worker. And so I was that's a whole different mindset too when you're like, you're a staff person and assisting and cleaning, just cleaning the bathrooms. Even at that point, we were in White Plains, so it was kind of a totally different space. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just kind of
No, no, no. This is
spewing off.
great. This is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
So at this point too, your artist life, even geographically, is separated. These are like switching.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting. Like, so, like, there's people that know me as just like this, like,
Yeah.
indie punk post rock dude from New Haven, and then there's people in New York that's like, yeah, he's just an engineer. And sometimes those, I think more and more it crosses over now, but I think there's people that I've worked with for years that were like, I didn't know you even played on stage. And in the studio, I wouldn't say I'm like serious, but I'm like, we're here for the work. But then on stage, I go a little crazy. It's slightly different personas.
Yeah, and you would
Um,
also develop this huge community of recording just by
Yeah.
putting flyers out and just
Yeah.
kind of being available for
Yeah.
all these different situations. And then you had this very specific thing
Right.
that you were cultivating,
Yeah.
touring, that
Yeah.
turned into
We
West
played
Meets West.
we played a lot. I mean, my first two bands played all over the Northeast. We would get in a van and play all over.
Yeah.
And there's friends I have still that I've just met from just touring is this. I wouldn't say we toured. We played weekend shows and went around doing that. But it's such good practice that even just like learning how to plug in your amps and load this in and figure out if you're even getting paid or how to get gas money and MapQuest, how to get to shows on time. This was all stuff training me to like work for whatever, like Blue Oyster Cult later or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
But around this time, West Meets West
Yes.
comes to the picture. West
Yeah.
Meets West. I mean, you got to check them out. I mean, this is enormously influential post rock group. So was this coming out of My Holy Ghost, or was this
Yeah.
a different group of
Yeah.
folks? Or
this was coming out of that, but really it started here as at Mercy. It started like you had to make projects, you had to make electronic music, or you had to. So it started as like a MySpace thing where I would put like electronic music projects and just like kind of weird soundscapes. So I would do all these like weird recordings. If I wasn't being booked to record like people's bands, I would get in the studio and just like make noises. And I had a Brian Gatchall. Him and I kind of started West together. He was a student here, and we would just like make noises in the studio, just like whatever. And we had 4 EPs of all these like weird noises. And Steve Lacerra actually played drums on one of them, and we had another drummer named Jesse Vengrove, who's still like an awesome drummer in post rock. So we would just start like making these studio recordings. But then when My Holy Ghost stopped playing live, we would still get show offers. So I would just be like, we're getting asked to play a show. My Holy Ghost can't do it, but let's have West Meets West do it. So even our like second show was with that band, The Deer Hunter. Like our second show was with them up in Massachusetts. And we just like, it's so weird now to think about it because I don't really do improv. I guess we do actually with you. I just
Sure,
did some
sure.
improv. But like we would get on stage and just like make weird noises and just like have extra drums and just make weird noises and very crazy. And eventually became very like rehearsed as a band. And but so that was all I was kind of doing that through college. And then by like 2010, so this was after college, like 2010, 11, 9, 10, 11, Eric Alfizi had joined the band, my bass player, and Andy Porta and Nick Robinson, and we kind of became like a real band
Mhm.
and did that. I mean, we're still a band, we're still doing stuff. Obviously, it looks different like 15, 20 years in. And that band did tour. Like we would play. We went to Chicago, did Audio Tree. We made a bunch. We have a bunch of records. We have stuff on vinyl. We've been signed to labels. We've been dropped by labels.
Mhm.
We have records coming out this year. So that's still a project that is still very close to my heart, and we still do stuff, and it's amazing that we can still kind of navigate this band thing, that we've been a band for a while, and so it's awesome. We got to play Europe, like we've done some amazing, like crazy stuff that I can't believe like we've been able to do. And then so that was kind of a really big focus of my life through. It still is, still is a huge focus of what I
Mhm.
do. I mean, there's years where it's busy, there's years where it's quiet, but it's a focus, and we're doing stuff. I'm excited about what the future holds for that
Yeah,
for that band.
and we'll circle back later to
Yeah.
talk about some of the more recent
Yeah,
releases.
yeah, yeah. But at that time, so then I went to I started. So I was working here, and you get tuition remission if you work here. You get like a cheaper price on school. So it was like, let me have a backup plan. Let me go to school for accounting. So that's my backup plan. I actually had classes in this room for accounting before they were the music studios. I did about half a semester and I hated it. Shocking. I really tried though. I really gave it my all. I just like it. The accounting stuff like just did not click with my brain. I even tried to do tutoring. I really like was. I tried to stick with it, but I couldn't. So I remember having a conversation actually out here with some family members on my phone and just being like, "This is taken away from music. This is like it's hurting me mentally. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop this."
Mhm.
And then I applied to purchase that same few month period. And they have studio composition
Yeah,
program at
yeah, they do.
Purchase. Actually, Kessler went there. He even showed me around there before because Kessler had now come here, and we had moved. We're going around. There's so many things. We moved our music studios in 2012 from White Plains to here. But actually, no, I was already in grad school when we moved. So, okay. Sorry, we're navigating this. All right. So, yeah, I decided to go to Purchase. Well, I went and interviewed, and I thought it went terribly. Literally, I was like, "Oh well, guess I'm not going there. That's going to be terrible." But then they called me like the next day and was like, "Hey, we'd love to have you come." So I was amazed.
They called you on the phone.
They called me on the phone. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the grad program. This was 2011. So the grad program was like, I don't even think there was 20 of us in the whole grad program.
Wow.
It was pretty small. And some of those people I'm still friends with. I actually met some. Purchase was amazing. I was only there for 2 years, but some of these connections and people I met changed my life for such an amazing, positive thing. Peter Denenberg over there, a bunch of other teachers that were amazing that I worked with. I think that program. I was like, it's very you go there to like teach music. It was very pedagogy. It was very focused
Mhm.
on like teaching music. But I had already kind of been living as a recording engineer, so when I got there, everyone was like, "Oh, he's like the dope engineer." Like, so I was like a part-time person here, but I had already, again, we're kind of going around a lot, but Mercy had already rebuilt the studios in White Plains once. So I rebuilt studios almost from scratch there one time. You learn a lot when you take all this stuff apart and you're the guy that's expected to put it all together again. Like you learn a lot. So I took everything apart and had to figure out how to put it back together, figure out how to make patch bays. And it's not like I was trained to do that. You just have to like just figure it out. And you make a lot of mistakes and you figure it out. Because we had a flood in the studios there. So things got ruined and they had to redo walls and stuff. So yeah, I had to like, with help. It wasn't just me. There was tons of people, Paul and Steve Ward and everybody, and Kessler and Phil White. All these people like played a big role in these studios. But eventually, it's like it has to work, right? So you learn a lot by redoing all this. So yeah, so by the time I got to Purchase, I was like an engineer tech person, but they also kind of assumed I knew all this music theory. So I would be put in like these pretty advanced music theory stuff and we'd be doing like 12-tone scale stuff. And I was just like, I can barely like clap the rhythms of like some of the stuff. So it was cool to be around these like amazing composers. And I studied with Joel Thome there, who's like an amazing composer. He was such a amazing person. Um, and so I had a really great time there. I had a really great time in Purchase, and it was an extremely like busy time. I think I'm busy now, but it was just every day doing stuff. I was living in Danbury at the time too, so I was just driving a lot back and forth. Um, and so went to Purchase for their grad program. It was great. Um, And then Mercy moved here in 2012, and we didn't build this till 2016. So I had to build studios upstairs. We rented Riverworks. So I'd constantly having to like rebuild studios and take them down. So and you get good at that. You get good at that. And then so we built these in 2016, and then we've rebuilt these a couple times too. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that goes. Yeah, we're going all over the place here. What else?
No, it's great to hear because
Yeah.
along with Kess and Ward
Mhm.
and Lucera
Oh
and
yeah,
Phil White, but you've been really a backbone and an
yeah.
integral person for every incarnation of the space as
And
it is
the
expanded.
yeah,
It's really
it's such a major and you've been a part of that, and the student workers and the part-time staff, like everybody has played. It takes a village to run this place, and
Mhm.
there's from the student workers back 20 years ago, because it's been 20 years now I've been here. So from every student worker to every teacher, like everybody plays such a vital role here, and yeah, and I try to play a part in that too. But Lacera, he's the guy, man. I can't believe the kindness he shows, not just me, but the students. Like, this dude is touring every weekend and like doing the thing, and he would make time for like a punk rock, like 18-year-old, 20-year-old, and just be like, I remember he came with us to like go check out a tape machine to make sure it wasn't like
wow.
messed up, and it was, and he was like, yeah, don't buy this. You know what I mean? Like,
Whoa.
yeah, he would just, and we like, he took a Saturday out of his schedule to like go do that with us. You know what I mean? This guy is just the greatest, the greatest. And one day he called and was like, "You want to sell merch? Do you want to sell merch at Mohegan Sun for Blue Oyster Cult?" So you say yes. I think this was. I think I don't remember the exact year. I don't. I have a really bad memory of. I was touring with them in grad school. So grad school was 2011, 12, 13. So this must have been somewhere before that. I sold merch for them, and my thought process was like, just whatever they ask you to do, just do that with enthusiasm, and like don't mess it up. And so I sold merch
Yep.
for that show and just did the best job. And how did I know how to sell merch? Well, I was in bands that sold merch for years.
course.
So it wasn't even like I know how to sell merch. So I've done that since I was 16 playing shows. So and then probably a year or two go by, and he calls again or whatever, calls, emails, and says, do you want to fill in for one of our guitar techs for the weekend? Tune some guitars, move some gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to tune a guitar.
Yes.
I've been playing live I've been playing live with hundreds of shows with my bands. I know how to move gear. I know how to move amps. I know how tube amps work. I can do that. And so we get in the car, we go to get the Blue Oyster Cult gear, and we drove to DC and did a show in DC. And then I think we flew the next day, flew somewhere else, and I was just kind of I was like the backup guy. So they would call me every few months to like fill in for this guy Andrew Gearhart or the other tech Andy Escalise at the time. Both are still very good friends. Andrew Gearhart actually went to Mercy too, so I knew him through here. So there's a pattern here. Steve Lacera has hired students, and we weren't the last either. And so I was filling in, and I would always just say yes, like especially because my work schedule at the time, I worked Monday through Thursday, so I was able to go do shows Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come home. So I did that for years. I did that for a few years, like I think about 4 years. I was like touring with them, and they were busy. Like most weekends, we were going out. I've been to almost every state now with them, and we've got to go to Europe, Greece. And so I was like a guitar tech, and then I would set up drums. I'm not really a drummer, but I would set up drums and keyboards, and obviously help with tuning guitars. And then I would even do like the monitors, their in-ear monitor mixes. And that was a lot. You learn a lot doing that. And so I would travel with them doing that, and we got to go to Greece. We got to go to Europe. I mean, hey, you want to go to? I remember that it was. I got married, and like a few days after my wedding, I went to France with Blue Oyster Cult, not with my wife on a honeymoon. But I was getting frequent flyer miles. I was just like touring and doing this amazing stuff. And this was still before like even iPhones. I think I didn't have an iPhone at the time, so I should have documented this stuff better. But and just befriending the band and just soaking that in, and Richie Castellano plays with them. He went to Purchase too, So I kind of we had familiar friendships with that, and yeah, that band has been amazingly supportive of me, and getting to go with them and tour and do all that was incredible, and I'm so thankful for that part of my career. I would, yeah, just do that with them, and then did a little bit of recording. I think maybe for Richie, or we have a mutual friend, Randy Jenkins, I did a lot of records with him, and the mutual friend, and so somehow it came up that we did some recording, and then I got a call like, "Hey, Blue Oyster Cult wants to do some recording," so we've recorded their album in 20. Oh God, I think we did that in 2019 in here. We did that record in here, and it was like amazing. Like you get to record Blue Oyster Cult, be an engineer. That was a whole team. Like Lacera was on that team too, and I was on the team. Richie was producing that record, but that was amazing to be a part of that record. It was like their first record in like over a decade. I would play cowbell for them on stage. Like it was just so crazy. It's just like it's just like I don't know. Very, very crazy experience. And then their last record, they asked me to master it, so I mastered that record. So it's just like it's really, I don't know. When you're in it, it doesn't feel that crazy when you're like doing it. But now that I'm like reflecting right now, it's like I'm so grateful and just kind of blown away that I got to be a part of any of that. So I'm just grateful. And then Richie had me help with the John Anderson record he did with the singer of Yes, which is like my dad listened to Yes when we were growing up. Like this is yeah. I mean, like and then I listen to Yes and
legend.
And so it's like when you're doing it, it's just like this is my life. But then when you step back and like, I can't believe the amazing people I've got to work with, and just hear them talk and how them care themselves and how they play their instruments. Just watching, just being around music makes you better. And so just being around these incredible musicians and seeing how they work and how they handle themselves, so I could go on and on for hours about the and my gratitude to all these, but even the crews, the techs, like all these people involved, everybody. I mean, there's people that showed me such kindness from other bands that we would tour with. I mean, you showed me such kindness when I met you too, but I guess the last person to shout out would be when Peter Denenberg back at Purchase. I had worked one peak performance that he was doing the peak performances. We'll talk about maybe what those are.
Yeah.
But he was doing those, and I heard on the radio, I heard on the peak 107.1, the peak. I was like a fan, and I was a listener in the area. I heard on the radio, Portugal the Man is coming to do a peak performance. And I was like, oh, I love that band. So I called Peter Denenberg. I was like, hey, can I come to this? He's like, no, you can go, you can work it. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. So I was doing like the PA. I was just handling like the PA in the room for that. That was like the first peak performance. And that was like 2012, 13, somewhere in there. And at some point, that was it. I did that one, and then years went by, and then 2016, I remember it was 2016 because the very first one we did here was 2016, and I think Peter and maybe I don't know, whoever else had a say. I know the Peak coach and Chris Herman there had a say, but they came here. They actually came here before the walls were even closed, like before there was glass. They came and saw the studio and was like, yeah, let's do some of these, and so that's been a 10-year amazing relationship. We've got to record Warren Haynes and Ben Gibbard and Leon Bridges and all these amazing artists have recorded in here or at the Beach House. You were at the Josh Ritter one. So we've done hundreds of these now where we do live recording, and now we've been doing video for the last few years, and students get to help with these things. So it's amazing for my resume, but it's amazing for their resumes. It's amazing for the school. It's great for the Peak. It's like this whole thing where everyone's happy to be involved, and we do those beach shows, which are a lot of work. I won't sit here and say they're not a lot of work, but they're like Noah Khan did one a couple of years ago. So it's just like you get to work with these amazing artists and do that. And the students play a big role in that, and the school in general plays a big role in that. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah, what am I missing? I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot here. I mean, you are on the road saying yes to a merch table that led to doing the monitor mix for a major
merch monitor
legendary,
master. It's like you know, it's like the whole thing.
You built an entire community from studios that you were asked to build and rebuild. Where I mean, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
there's a deep learning that comes from your availability, your openness, and
Yeah.
but also that you were able to amass all of these skills to your own
Yeah.
imprint, which is Port City,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even to promote your own projects,
Yeah.
which you were
Yeah.
also doing
Yeah.
in
And you
parallel.
learn on the job. You say yes, and you learn on the job, but also I'm honest when I don't know something, and I ask for help, and try to receive that help as much as I can. And yeah, in 2016, I was made full time here as a full time staff, and that's when I kind of stopped touring because I couldn't really do both. You know, I couldn't touring with Blue School. So yeah, then full time here, and this is a busy place. We do a lot of stuff here, man. It's great, and there's stuff changing and always developing, and it's amazing to be a part of that. And there's such an amazing team here, and the faculty, including yourself and other teachers are amazing. I love being a part of this team and putting the students first and trying to find them, where they're at. And this industry is constantly changing and shifting, and it doesn't look the same it did 20 years ago. It doesn't look the same it looked a year ago, right? But I'm focused on a lot of my own music. I think now more than ever, like just trying to. I remember that's why I got into this, right? It's like because
Totally.
I love my own music, and doing that, playing shows. So we're playing shows. My solo thing, Eager Sales, we play one. You played with me.
Yeah.
You played with me. We've made a ton of records actually together. Yeah. Just kind of rambling now.
No. This is great. But I want to talk about some of your projects today. I want to talk a little bit about and the program here as well. But before I don't want to move on too quickly. Before just talking a little bit about your own imprint, Port City.
Okay.
I mean, you said casually, you've recorded thousands of rappers and hundreds of bands, and I can co-sign on that. That is not hyperbole.
I was kind of just thinking that when I was just using the bathroom, like, I think if I meet someone on the street, I usually lead with the engineering thing. I do that every day. Like as much as my music is kind of where my soul is, right? But the day-to-day is like making records for people.
Your discography is immense. I mean, folks can look that up for themselves. That information is available. But
thousands at this point.
It's in the thousands, millions of streams. Definitely.
Yeah, I think we're at over 100 million.
Yeah, 100. Okay.
Yeah.
100 million, pardon me.
Yeah. I mean, that's by the way, that's combined. That's
of course, but
like,
these are recordings and projects that you've had a hand in either as a sound recording engineer, mix engineer, or a mastering engineer. I mean, and we talk about how you've kind of collected these skills over the course of your career.
Yeah.
I mean, and how gradually and through these projects and just saying yes. But just any reflections on this body of work that you've been a part of?
Yeah, I think it's so much easier and maybe fun to talk about like all the music and bands and touring, but the day to day is like in a room, in this room or at home or in front of a computer. Like to say I've spent just countless hours with the gear and plugins and Pro Tools itself and other DAWs, obviously, but like at a certain point I was like, why are my records quiet? Like, why aren't they loud enough? So I had to learn mastering on my own because I couldn't afford it. All this comes from like not being able to afford big studios or other places. So, and I've read like maybe not as a student, but I read all of the nerdy audiobooks, like every one of them. I don't read I don't read like for fun. I don't read like, I don't know, name a book. I don't read that. I read music tech books, and I've read every one of them, and I get the second edition, and I read that. Like I am so into, like and by the way, I've worked with people that have challenged me to be like, nah, this is not the kick drum. This is not the sound. This is not the guitar sound. Why does this not sound like our reference record? Like, so being challenged by your clients, and I love that because it makes you better. And then just realizing like, oh, this preamp or this, as much as the gear doesn't make the record, but learning how to use it and learning how to use the plugins and to where now like 20-ish years of using hardware and software and plugins, like I can make it more about the music now because I spent so long learning the equipment. Does that make sense? Like,
100%.
And this is our, as much as I'm a guitar player, but this is my instrument, right? This is figuring out how this works is my instrument. And I was always, man, I don't know if you've been a part of like mix battles. We like you two people get asked to mix for a record, and you compare the mixes, right? And I've lost some of those battles. I've won some of those battles. When you lose one of those battles and you don't get the record, it's like, oh, you look inward and you're like, why did I lose that battle? And you can feel like crap about it, or you can the next day like open up a session again and see why that other person won. And I am constantly bringing someone else's mix into my session and A Bing it, and I want my mix to be slamming. I want it to be good, you know? And so as much as it's about the music, I want to be able to deliver a quality that competes with my heroes. You know, I interned at studios. I still constantly watch Mix with the Masters. Like there's no I learn more now than I did as a student, right? So as much as it's like about the music, I nerd out. Like every day there's a new plugin, there's a new software update, and your clients will keep you. Your clients want to be competitive, right? So they keep you honestly. They keep you honest. If you're just making your own music all day, if you can just be like, this is my sound and whatever.
Right.
But when you have to compete in the gospel world, in the hip hop world, in the pop world, I mean, I work on pop records, I work on ambient records, I work on not as much metal anymore, but like now I think I've found a workflow and where I can say yes or no to projects where if I think I fit, but you know, I want to compete in a pop record. I want to compete on an ambient record. I want an acoustic thing or all the live radio stuff. You know, we would listen to the peak performances, but we would also listen to I don't want to say competition, but like KEXP or in Seattle or Audio Tree, and we would listen like, okay, let's compare our live mix to theirs, and why is one better? Why is one not better? I mean, how often do we sit there and talk about microphones for strings or, you know, I get in the weeds, like as much as it's cool and fun to talk about just the music and guitar pedals and stuff, like the amount of time I spent looking at microphones and reading the plugin manuals. I can't tell you how many plugin manuals I've read, especially for like mastering. Like that world, I really love mastering. Like if I just mastered records from now on, like that'd be sick. I would be cool with that. I really love mastering, and I really love being able to take a record kind of over that finish line. I mean, there's nothing like being in a room for music creation too. You know, like when you're writing but I love the process of helping people with music. And so there's some records where I just record or I just produce or I just mix or I just master or I just do the Atmos mix or, you know, which is a whole, we didn't even talk about Atmos.
Right.
You know, that's like a whole nother thing. You know, there's some records I just play guitar on for somebody. You know, I'm happy to do it all. And I love the process I love collaboration. I think you make the best art with collaboration. And that's why I'm so thankful for our friendship. And, I mean, you like, I feel like me, like you say yes, you're like yeah, and there's like, hey, you want to play cello on my ambient guitar set? Like, yeah, great, you know, and that's amazing, and who knows why you gave me that time and did that. It's so thankful for that. Hopefully, I can repay that. But I remember early on too, we would just like sit here and just talk plugins and talk signal chain, right? We would just like nerd out about that and, you know, trade ideas. And I mean, Paul Carlin is somebody I made a lot of records with him, and I learned so much about. I'm not a jazz musician, right, at all, but he has had me make a lot of jazz records with him, and he's brought in these amazing players, and he has a high standard of making records too, right? So I want to make. He's worked at some amazing studios, and he's worked with some amazing engineers and players. So I want to make a good jazz record, right, and be a part of that. I guess that goes back to the saying yes thing, but. You know, now I know the records that I won't be able to serve, if that makes sense. Like a modern metal record, like I'm probably not your guy to make it from scratch. Like, you know, if it's like an old school metal thing, maybe. There's certain records I can say yes to and be like, yeah, I can live in this world and be successful at helping the artists. And I like to do that. You know what I mean? I like to have that confidence. I wouldn't have that confidence with a metal record. You know what I mean? I'm sure you do so much composition. Like,
no, of course.
You know, there's some stuff you're like, well, that's That's not for me. Like,
Right.
even at 75%, 80% is you, and you can do it. And you have such a wealth of different music, and I think I do too. But I think that comes with just making records long enough in your own journey, just to be like, yeah, that one. I'm not the person for that, But I can say yes, I think to most projects. I hope.
Yeah, and you have the body of work that very much backs that up, and I think that's something I admire about you a lot. And I
Yeah.
think that as far as the program here at Mercy
Yeah.
is concerned, I think you're a great example of somebody who, I mean, is in the field.
Yeah.
You have a session after this
Yeah, I
podcast.
do. I
You
know.
know, you
I
like
do. We had to
you
move it. I have a session in an hour. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is not, you are literally, when you are facilitating, when you're instructing, it's very much coming from your back pocket
Yeah.
and recent experience.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm so passionate about. I love teaching too. By the way, I love teaching. I teach a few different classes here, and I love sharing that knowledge. And by the way, I learn so much from the students every class, and as well. But I'm really believing like hands on. Like let's do it. You want to mic up drums? Let's do it.
Yeah.
You want to mix an Atmos? Let's actually do it. Let's not talk about it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And there'll be times where I'm like, oh right, okay, we got to. That's how you do it. Rob and I shot a whole thing on analog summing the other day, and it's like that's as much for the students, but it's as much for me to remember and try it and learn all these things as well. That's why it's like a student go, oh, what mic should I use on kick drum? It's like, well, try every microphone. I could tell you what I like on kick drum, but I want you to figure out what kick drum mic you like. Like I'll tell you, and I do tell the students. Sennheiser 602, is that the number? But it's like that journey is part of the process. Like,
Yeah.
why do you like a Fab Filter EQ? Well, I've tried tons of EQs and I like this one, and I've tried them all. To say I've tried every plugin, for the most part, I've tried every plugin in here. It's like, yeah, you got to try every one of them.
Yeah.
Which is going to sound best on your bass or my guitar or drum. It's like, you got to try every one of them and put in the time. If you want to be a chef, it's like you got to cook every day, right?
You got to know every ingredient in the fridge.
Yeah. You got to do it every day. I mean, I think that's sometimes whatever my advice. I don't even whatever that means.
Give advice.
Like do one thing every day
Mm.
that serves this. It could be reading a book. It could be watching Mix with the Masters, watching a guitar pedal video. Like I nerd out about guitar pedals. Like just do one thing that pushes yourself forward. You're not gonna get like a mastering gig every day. You're not gonna get like a crazy session every day. But you can read an article. You can do some research. You can show up to your school or wherever and just be present, just be there. And even if it's for an hour, like great, like because then after I feel like I wasn't the guy for a really long time, and I was like, why am I not the guy? Like, and then eventually it's like, oh, you're the person because like either there's no one else left that can say yes, or you finally have just done it long enough. But there's no magic but there's nothing we talked about today was like a magic button. Like I can now look at these events that happened, but it took a long time to even just to like get to this point to be able to eat, and it's still like every day is a struggle and trying to figure out what's next and what am I going to do in 20 years from now? I don't know. It could look very different, right? And I know your journey has been amazing too. You were on the podcast. Check out that episode.
Oh.
I forget what number it was. But I think like doing one thing. Look, if it's researching what this LA2A does,
yeah,
that's enough. Like you don't have to. You're not going to book a crazy session every day. And if no one's booking you, make your own music.
Yeah,
like that's what you know what I mean. Eventually, someone will like it. Probably, and just it's really hard though because I was impatient. I'm still a little impatient, I think. And you want to get this stuff going quick, but it takes time. It takes a really long time, I feel like, to do this stuff. Collaborate. See what you can do to help somebody else out. Like, don't call Kevin. Hey, Kevin, how can you help me? What can you do for me?
Yeah.
Like, no, like, hey, can I come? I know you got some gigs coming up. Hey, I remember doing gigs where I would just help somebody carry their keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to carry your keyboard. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to hang out. This was Dennis Bell. He was a teacher here. He was great. He needed help just carrying his keyboard. This dude worked with like U2. This guy worked with Dougie. Like, he's an amazing person. Yeah, I want to just go spend time with you, listen to what you have to say, hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not even get paid. Not even think about the money. Like, don't even. I feel like we can talk about that, the business whole side of it, but the money will show up eventually.
Yeah.
Once you're once your resume shows that you're responsible, not even good, just like, will you show up to the airport and not like that's. Can you hang? Can you do the gig? Like, will you, like, there's some people you have to call 3 or 4 times. Hey, Kev, you really showing up? You really showing up? Like, I'm sure that's not you, but like, if I book you, if there's someone who books me, like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to try to show up. It's harder and harder with life and children, all these things, but it's still a thing. And by the way, like, Janelle is my wife. Janelle is as much of a producer on everything I do because having that support to do these things is like so important too. Like, so anyone that streams one of my songs, she should get a plaque too.
Yeah,
because like
fair.
And again, it takes that, but then that goes to all your mentors too. Like every mentor I've ever had, like Paul Steinman, Lacera, Steve Ward, Kessler, all these people. Like, it's all you stand on the shoulders of giants, and everybody. There's room for everybody to help each other, and I try to help our students too. And I'm constantly amazed by what our students are doing, and I just found out about some really cool placements that some students have just got, and they're doing like amazing stuff in the world of music and media and sports sound. Didn't even talk about the Olympics and all that stuff. I've done that stuff too. The Olympics was cool. Live TV sound. Again, I said yes.
Right,
I said yes to
right.
something. And I met that person through playing shows when we were in high school.
And you took those skills into what you're doing today.
Yeah. I mean,
Every time.
you say yes, and I'm just so grateful for anybody that's given me any time of day, because there's a lot of people that do this. You could call a lot of people. So it's not lost on me. Like, if someone, especially now where someone's like, here's money for a thing, and it's never lost on me to be involved, even in the smallest part of a record, even if I'm just recording Shaker. It's not lost on me. You could go to a lot of places, you could ask a lot of people, you could ask AI now to do it.
Right.
It's not lost on me that if you want to make your art with me, I'm like so stoked to be a part of that. And on the reverse of that is when I make my art, I'm so honored when people help out with that, like yourself and all of my bandmates that I've ever had, and the artists we work with, and the labels. Everybody is incredible. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, there's a humility and a selflessness and a willingness to join and be a part of.
Yeah.
And just
It's also fun, right? Like, what am I going to do? Just watch TV? Like,
well, also just a profound expertise. I'm someone who's been lucky enough to look over your shoulder and work with you and ask you questions, and
vice versa.
It's your skill set is immense, and hearing your story, it makes perfect sense. Just before we go, can we talk just a little bit about Eager Sales? I know Wes has some drops this year. Eager Sales is constantly
both are. So I mean, I guess
what is Eager Sales?
All right. Well, just Eager Sales. I think at a certain point, so Wes is amazing. Wes has been around for 15 plus years. We don't know exactly when we started because it was so kind of weird. And Wes is dropping a bunch of ambient stuff this year. We're working on a new full length. We have a bunch that's going to happen this year, which is very exciting. We got a vinyl reissue coming out this year with Denna Wax. So Wes is doing stuff. But Wes is like a post rock band. That's like its thing, right? And so at a certain point, I love instrumental music. We make instrumental music together. I love ambient music. I love post rock, Sigur Rós, Godspeed, Explosions in the Sky, all that stuff. I love that stuff. But at a certain point, in like 2019, which is not that long ago, I kind of fell back in love with just like indie rock, and I was like, I forced myself to start singing again because I was just like, no one else is going to do it. So I got to just do it. I can't. I was in some other bands with other singers, and that's great, and I would still love to be in bands with other singers because it's that's the hardest job in a band. I don't know if you've ever sang in a band. Have you ever sang in a band?
No.
To me, that's the hardest job in a band is to be a singer. But I've always loved songwriters. I've always loved lyricists. I love working with singer-songwriters. I've been in bands with some great singer-songwriters. I mean, we've talked about kind of my bands, but I've been in other people's bands through this process, these last, you know, my whole life too. That I've been in a lot of projects where I'm helping other people too. But at a certain point, I just had some of these songs in me, and I just was like, let me force myself to sing on them. And they weren't West meets West. You know what I mean? They musically kind of were different. As much as Wes is kind of it's me, but there's a whole community of us in that band. So as much as it's like I could do anything with that project, there's a whole team of people where so I kind of wanted this thing where it was like just like some pop stuff, some electronic stuff, some weird, and I could bring in different people and have different people play on it. So it's a fairly new thing, 2019. But I've been doing just like indie rock stuff, and I have a great band with Tim and Jeremy now, and we play punk rock stuff, and it's a lot of fun to just kind of almost return to high school where it's like just like distortion and 3-4 chords, and I mean there's a lot of ambient stuff in there and weird noises. A lot of it too is like I want to be able to make a great sounding punk record, and can I do that with this? You know, so a lot of it is still just trying to figure out recording and all that. So it's a vessel for that. So it's like the two main projects. West is its own kind of thing that's been living for a long time, but Eager Sales is a different. I don't think any of us listen to one type of music, so it's like to only ever do post rock or to only ever do hip hop or like would be boring. You know, so I think this other project gives me the freedom to, you know, explore songwriting. I love songwriting. I mean,
Great songwriter.
thank you.
Great,
I
tremendous.
love lyrics. I love songwriting. I love studying other songwriters. You know, stealing. I read books on songwriting,
Yeah.
and like you know what I mean. So I really love all that as well. And then it helps me be able to help people in the studio too. Is you know because it's so nerve wracking in that room when you're on the mic, like all this technology, all these plugins. Sometimes you're just like, well, I just didn't sing good today, you know, or I didn't play good today. You can quantize stuff, you can move things around, but like if the song is not hitting, like there's nothing the technology can do to fix that, right? So yeah, we're making tons of music. We're writing. I love. I say we, and I'm writing, and the band is writing. Tim and Jeremy. We're playing shows. Yeah, we're just doing the thing. I don't know. I don't think it'll ever stop. I think we're just gonna do it. You know, same with Wes. I think I just see they're two different distinct voices, but I don't see them as like stopping. It's just gonna happen. I'm sure I'll join other bands and be in other projects and help on other records, but it's fun to have those there. And I love seeing the breadth of work. And you know, sometimes you go back and cringe a little bit, like, oh, what was that? But you know, you move on. I think it's so important to finish stuff, like finish something, and you can put it out. You can always take it down. Like Wes had 4 EPs that we took down from 2007 to 11. We had 4 releases that we just like almost full album content. We just erased them from existence because eventually I was like, oh, these aren't good. Like, you know, they were cool, but like you can take this stuff down if you really hate it in a year. But usually when something's out and finished and you can leave it, like it becomes a different thing as well. So I don't know, put it out, and if you hate it in a year, take it down. But I think it's so important to actually finish the projects. I don't know. What do you think? Can you speak
I
on that for
mean,
your own?
I can speak on it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in my work, we have deadlines, and that's
Yeah.
finishing the work. We have to deliver it.
Yeah.
But I think I certainly learned the most from finishing,
Yeah.
and it's actually that process that
Just had this
yields the
conversation
career.
yesterday in the studio, and it's like we're kind of wrapping up this record, and whenever you're at that last 5%, you've learned how to make that record, and that record's done, but you've learned how to make the next one.
Right. Thank you.
And it's totally different. And so what could we do? We could stop and remake this record again.
Right.
We could with our knowledge. And there's been times I've done that. There's been times we've done that, but I don't, you know, most of the time it's probably worth just finishing that, and then you can redo it. You know what I mean? Like you could take it down, and people do that. Yeah.
I've also had the experience of hearing it 5 years or 6 years, 10 years out, and feeling endearing towards it. It's like,
once
I
a record
remember,
is done,
I remember where I was at when I made it.
Oh yeah. I love that. I love like there's certainly records I've done. hundreds of records I've done, which I wish I could remaster or remix. And there's times where we have, but for the most part, it's like that's where I was at that time, and it's a great snapshot. And honestly, most people probably wouldn't even know the difference of what you're talking about. Not that I strive for what we want, anyways, but um, yeah, you can. I don't know. Yeah, get it out. Get your music out there. Somebody will hear it and like it. I'm constantly amazed by, we have like a fan in the Philippines. Like, he's a huge fan of Wes. It's like he loves our music. Or a fan. We have this fan in Belgium who's super nice. That's just like, I would have never met this person, and that's an amazing connection. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it comes down to those interactions, which are a lot of fun and exciting. So
It's not lost on me that it is January. It's 2026.
yes.
The semester here at Mercy starts next week.
Yeah.
Are there things you're thinking about for the big 26, the big 26?
I think there's a lot of
What's on your radar? What are you checking out? What are you excited about? What projects are you excited?
Yeah.
Who are people you want to collaborate? What are some
everybody.
skills
Hit
you
me
want
up.
to amass?
I want to get better. You know what? I want to get. I was sitting in Paul Carlin's music theory class for a little bit of this semester. I want to get better at everything, listening and making music and collaborations and all that. I want to work with everybody. There's a lot of changes here, a lot of there's a lot of moving parts. I don't know how much we can really get into, but I'm excited to be positive and see what that's going to look like and play the role and however I can. And just putting the students first and focusing on what they need. And this industry is different. It's certainly different than when we started, and it's going to be different in 10 years too. And so having to adapt and change and be open to that. And we didn't do video. We didn't do video even before COVID. Like, you know what I mean? So we're here to create and be a part of that and learn so much from the students. I forget the whole question. What am I into? Lots of projects, lots of amazing projects that some I'm just mixing, some I'm producing, lots of my own projects. I'd love, just all that and just being there for my family too, and just trying to figure all that out and just be present, be positive, and there's, as far as like, I think the last thing video was a big part of what a mission here. Atmos and like immersive mixing was a big part of like a mission here, and we got into that. I think like lighting is a new part of what we want to like get better at lighting, which I know is kind of weird and specific, but that's a big part of it. And again, the crew here with Aaron and Zaire and Rob and Cam and everybody, and Kessler, it's such a positive place that you can also you can bring things that you're into and have it be supported here, which is amazing. We throw festivals here, we do open mics. So I think there's a lot of things to get involved in. We may rewire this whole studio at some point very soon. So there's that. I think there's other DAWs I want to get better at. Even just like Ableton, and just there's books I want to read. There's a lot of books I want to read and figure that out. So and music. There's art to be made, and what about you? What do you look forward to this year?
Oh my God, many of the same, but I get to drill down on some specifics. I'm looking forward to the West Meets West monthly drops.
Yeah. So and you're on them. You're on almost all the releases. Spoiler, we're releasing a song every month this year. And you played cello, you played cymbal, you played a boat cymbal, and the whole crew showed up for that ambient EPs. Chris Dingman played a bunch of on it. Andy Porter played some drums. Nick did the artwork. Nick Robinson did the artwork. Eric Alfisi played some bass. I did guitars. Justin Crass played some keys on some songs. My daughter Tilly sings on a song. She makes some. I don't know if she knows she's on it, but she's on it. And those are fun. And then we're gearing up to like make some more music and play some shows and just do it. It's fun. Why not?
Eager Sales too.
Eager Sales.
Always in the studio putting out. I know y'all got some for us this year.
Our most like pop friendly album, which is hilarious. So I'm making it's fun to be making like really pop stuff and then really kind of out there ambient stuff. It's really fun to do both. I don't know. Brian, works. He like produces pop records, but then makes ambient music.
That's like visual art. Yeah. He's a designer. And
I'm not even like I'm not even anything in that world, but like that's a hero. You know, I just read his new book on art.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
called What is Art? It's that pink book. I love that. It was profound. It was fantastic. You know, and just I think like, do you still listen to music? Do you listen
Do
to
I listen
music?
to music?
Like for like pleasure.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. There's people I know that like no. They're like no. Like people that work in music, they're like no. Like you know what I mean? I can still like be like weeping from a song
Yeah.
because it's so beautiful or so amazing. Like even Rob, you showed me some stuff where I'm like, whoa, this production is like next level. Like, or that's my favorite part of the mixing class too. Is like we start every class by listening to a song, and students will pick a song, or I'll pick a song. Usually the students, and they'll play me something, and we'll talk about how they made it. And it's just sometimes you're like, I don't know how they made it. You know, it's like that's amazing.
Mm.
Or there's other times where I'm like, yep, that sounds exactly like this, and here we go. But I'm like blown away by the production. I'm like, there's some people that, oh, there's no good music made past 2000 or whatever. And I'm like, I love, people have said that. People, you never heard people say that? People have said
I
that.
mean, people say all types of things.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, no, I mean,
can't-
I love doing deep dives on like, you know, I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. Like I got to see David Gilmour last year. I love that and doing that deep dive, but I love records that are coming out this year, you know what I mean? Or last year. So everything in between. And there's space for all of it. Like you know, there's space like yeah.
Wow.
So
I mean,
man.
let me just to recap. Just
yeah.
like hundreds of millions of streams, top 2% of mastering
Somewhere,
engineers.
Something
But what I take away is just a genuine excitement for all things music
Yeah.
and
yeah.
a
It gets me up in the morning. I know it
yeah.
gets you up in the morning. I know it gets most of us up in the morning.
keeps me up at night too.
It does.
It does both.
It does. It does.
Sam Stauff, we're gonna have to get to a part 2 because every time I talk to you, there's new music and there's new techniques and there's new vision. And just want to thank you for being such an inspiration to us all. You're the backbone of this program.
It's a team.
And I'm excited to see what 2026 holds for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this
It means
conversation.
a lot having you be here for this. And
Likewise.
You know, we literally met just walking.
That's right.
I think we told that story on your podcast, but it's a friendship I value so much. And I mean, literally, we hang out on my roof and with our families and stuff. So
That's right.
It's a beautiful thing, and man, lots of music to be
My
made.
brother.
Thank you.
Get him.
Bring it in. All right. Thanks, Rob. Give it up for Rob and Aaron with the podcast. Boom. Peace.